Hey everyone, today I will show you how to wire up and assemble your very own MA40 assault rifle 3D printed kit with light-up display, flashlight, and removable mag. So first of all, what is included with our kit? Well, the kit is composed of the four main body pieces of the prop: the ammo counter display, the acrylic graphic of the display, the lid that will hide the batteries, then you have the flashlight casing, and the three pieces that comprises the stock. You will notice that we have four orange pieces: the barrel, the trigger, the bolt, and the magazine. We opted to go with orange for these pieces for obvious safety reasons. So we recommend keeping the barrel or part of the barrel orange, as it is required for fake weapons. You can get an extra barrel in your kit if you desire to have a fully painted one for photo shoot. The same goes for the magazine. So the first step of assembling this kit is to get rid of any support material around the various pieces. My favorite tools to do so are some flush cutters, long nose pliers, and an X-Acto knife. Please be extremely careful with such a knife. It has a thirst for blood. In addition, please wear any kind of safety glasses, as support material tend to shatter and send shrapnel everywhere. I had many pieces bounce off my face and off my actual glasses while doing this process. Next, you will need to cut your PVC pipe. So you will need 23 inches or 58 centimeters of half-inch PVC pipe. Confusingly enough, PVC pipe marketed as half-inch has an outside diameter of 3/4 of an inch. This is what we want. If you're uncertain, bring a measuring tape at your local hardware store. Moving forward, our next step is to sand every glue faces of the kit. This will both help with the glue adhesion, but also the overall alignment of the prop. Don't forget to also sand your PVC pipe, as they are usually pretty slick. With these steps out of the way, we can get ready to do the electronics. Don't worry, they're really simple. But first, I have to mention that there are three options to choose from. Either the kit comes with no electronic, if you already have the necessary component, one with the electronic included but uninstalled, and last but not least, the electronics fully assembled in the kit ready to go. For the last two options, there are an additional three options for the LED colors. Either blue for the classic look, some green LEDs that could match, for instance, the Monster Energy skin, and some red LEDs. The kit will, by default, ship with blue LEDs if no colors were specified in the form. If you choose to assemble the display yourself and you have some clear dome color LEDs, you will need to sand the surface of these LEDs to diffuse the light. Otherwise, they create hotspot in the display, which is far from an ideal look. I use some 120 grit sandpaper to do so. We can clearly see the difference. As mentioned earlier, the circuits are extremely simple, as you can see in these diagrams. Furthermore, if your battery compartment has an integrated switch, or if you use the one that will ship with the kit, it makes the circuit even easier. Just solder the wires to the LEDs. Throughout this process, you will most likely need to install and remove the display multiple times, as it is a lot easier to push the LEDs out from the front. So simply slide an X-Acto knife under the acrylic and it should just pop out. But be extremely careful not to scratch the acrylic sheet. First, the flashlight. You will need 20 inches or 50 centimeters of wire. Mine are already threaded in the battery compartment, since when we started filming this video, our battery compartment didn't arrive in time, so we printed our own. Here you can see the ones that you would receive with the kit. If you use the one provided with the kit, you will only need 15 inches or 38 centimeters of wire for the flashlight, since there are already 5 inches or 13 centimeters of wire attached to the compartment. The soldering process is dead simple. Strip the wire, tin them, tin the two leads of the LEDs, and remember, the longer leg goes to the positive, so the red wire, and solder them together. Don't forget to either add some heat shrink tube or some electrical tape so your solder joints don't make contact with one another. if you're using the battery compartment that have an integrated switch, you're done! But if it does not, simply cut your red wire about an inch from the compartment and wire in the switch. If your switch has 3 pads like mine, simply connect the wire coming from the battery compartment to the middle pad and the other wire to either one of the other 2 pads. Which one you use matters little. It will determine which position is on and which position is off. You simply need to make it consistent with the other switch. Don't forget to test if your connection worked properly. Next, for the display, it's pretty much the same process. But first, take your X-Acto knife and gently widen the hole of the LEDs. It will make them fit a lot easier. Insert your blue LEDs or any other colors into the display, starting with the lower one, then the higher one. It will make installation a lot easier. Make sure they are in the same orientation with the long leads on the same side. Bend the lower leads up to the higher ones. Depending on which kind of LEDs you have, the shorter lead might not reach all the way. But that's alright, we'll just bridge the gap with the wires. This is probably the hardest part of the electronic assembly. Getting the soldering iron in the display and joining at least one of the 2 pairs of leads together. That way you can get the LEDs out by pressing them in the front and they will stay together. For this one, if you have the provided battery compartment, you don't even need more wire. There is plenty already. If not, you will need 5 inches or 13 centimeters of wire. Same as before, strip the wire, tin them, tin the leads. Be careful not to undo your first solder connection. Then bend the tin portion into a small L shape to make sure it touches both of the leads of the same polarity. Once the opposite connection is solid, you can connect the first one with the battery wire. If needed, repeat the same installation step for the switch as the flashlight. Then you will want to cut the excess length of leads of the LEDs. Of course, test your connection, and if all is well, reinstall the LEDs in the display. Now this is where the fun truly begins. Take your PVC pipe and insert it into the front part of the gun. Take a Sharpie and trace where the pieces end. Take your glue of choice. We went with CA glue, as it's super fast and plenty strong for our purposes. Simply apply the glue around the pipe for the whole length that you marked with your Sharpie, and rotate the pipe as you insert it to smear the glue around. Then let it set for a few seconds. Repeat these steps for the next pieces, but this time make sure to also apply a generous amount of glue on the flat surface of the previous piece. When gluing this part or any of the following parts, you need to make sure it is extremely well aligned. This will make or break the look of the finished prop. I can't tell you how important this is. Even half of a millimeter will be extremely hard to hide later on. Before gluing the rest of the prop, you will need to drill out a hole through the PVC pipe for the flashlight. The size of the hole doesn't really matter as long as the LED can pass through it easily. I started with a small pilot hole and then I went with the full-size hole. Be mindful to not go too deep past the PVC pipe as you might damage the inside of the channel, making it harder to thread the LEDs through the piece. Make sure there are no plastic shards blocking the path. You can now do a quick dry fit of the display, making sure the wire reaches all the way to the end of the channel for the flashlight. Once that's done, you can glue the display, also making sure it is properly centered. It should overhang a little bit on each side. Rinse and repeat until it's fully assembled. For this part here, make sure it's in the proper orientation. You can see here how it's placed on the 3D model. The broader side of the stock should point upward.
Good morning everyone, Editor Zach here. I somehow managed to forget to record the gluing process of the bolt and the trigger. So for the bolt, it's pretty straightforward. Just glue it, make sure it's centered naturally, with the flat edge facing forward. And for the trigger here, there's a hole on both the main body pieces and the trigger for a 3mm by 8mm round neodymium magnet, because I know some convention, some Comic Cons or some events would rather have prop weapon that don't have any triggers. So if that's the case in your area, you can put a magnet so it just magnets in and you can remove it super easily. So yeah, other than that, make sure these two are properly centered if you glue them in. I think it's pretty straightforward that I don't need to show you how to actually glue it because I forgot. So yeah.
Last step, take some aluminum tape and apply it on the inside of the flashlight to make the reflector. Then you will want to glue the LED in place and then glue the flashlight on as well. Insert the acrylic cap and you're done! Thank you for watching this video. If ever you're interested in getting your hand onto one of these kits, there will be a form in the video description. Other than that, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.